My 23F husband, 25M, admitted that his younger brother yelled at him for how he treats me. My husband and I have relationship issues. I have been hesitant to leave him, mainly for the fact that we have a child together, but also I care for him a lot. He got really dark a few months ago. Did and said a lot of things that hurt me, but didn't directly hit me or do anything in front of our kid. I was ready to leave him because throughout our relationship, he never really treated me that great and I think I was just at my limit. But when I tried to leave, he broke down and begged me to stay, so I did. He changed since. He's been treating me like an equal being. He's been going to therapy for 4 months now consistently. He started opening up to me about things he didn't before. I've been noticing that overall, he seems so much warmer to others, not just me. Recently, we were driving and conversation about his little brother came up. He's 22, and I was telling him about some things that his brother told me about his girlfriend. My husband randomly admitted that his brother told him to treat me better. I was shocked because I didn't think that anyone noticed or thought of our relationship like that. I never said a word to anyone. I asked him what happened and he seemed embarrassed and brushed it off, saying that his brother just kinda yelled at him that he doesn't treat me like a woman. The crazy thing is that my husband admitted to not treating me well to me then too. I didn't know what to say, so that was the end of the conversation. Since then, he's been bringing things up randomly, asking what I like and how I would like to be treated. My question is, how do I respond to this? Or do I just let him be to do his thing? My usual response is to just brush it off or say, whatever you want, honey. But I've been growing a bit of self-confidence, so I don't want to brush it off anymore. I'm also just still shocked that someone said something to my husband, I guess. I didn't know what to think of it. Got nobody to talk to about it, loudly crying. You should be in therapy too to help you continue to gain confidence and work through thoughts like these. Keep up the momentum, don't brush it off. If you are both working on the relationship, that's great. But if he stops this honeymoon period and falls back this behavior, leave immediately. No matter what he says or does. This should be the last chance. Good luck. Update me. You should be in therapy as well. His treatment took a toll on you. Work with a therapist about how to respond to his request, and eventually it will become second nature with you two both asking and giving what each other needs. You grow a backbone and tell him exactly what you want from him, and watch him if he follows through with it. You are his partner and the mother of his child, so you deserve respect, support, help, attention, love and kind words. You are both young and some couple counseling might help too, so you can have a professional middleman to help both of you get in the right place. I am glad his brother told him to treat you better. When he asks, you answer honestly. If this is hard, write a list of things you would like him to do, like dishes, cook you a dinner, laundry, etc. You definitely need to be in therapy as well. And then find a third party for a marriage counselor. It's great that he's made huge improvements, but you need to remain cautious. Sometimes abusive people do all of this growing and changing, but it's just part of the abuse cycle. He could 100% be changed for the better, but you need to build your confidence so you don't stick around if old habits return. I, M, 35, and wife, F, 34, disagree about my behavior towards coffee. I had purchased a 60-count assorted K-cup box the day before my wife invited 2 of her friends to stay 5 nights with us over the holidays. They are from out of state and were staying with us while they visited family. I drink 2 cups a day and really liked one flavor in the box. During their stay I noticed that they would drink 3-4 cups a day per person. Knowing that I particularly liked one flavor, I put 8 K-cups in a Ziploc bag and put it in the cabinet. I was never upset that they were drinking the coffee, I just wanted to keep some of that flavor for when I made my coffee. My wife said that this is only child behavior and just strange. Is it strange that I kept some K-cups for myself? I don't get why anyone would have a problem with this. You bought a bunch of them, they started using a lot, so you put a few of your favorites aside. Why is that a big deal? Neither I nor my husband would think twice about it if one of us did that. To me it seems unhinged to make a fuss over something this small. No problem here, you left plenty of coffee for all. Your wife is weird. Bro, you should have hid it so no one could find it. My older sister confessed to me that she kept her favorite cookies hidden separately so her kids wouldn't find them. Of course they eventually did. This is a nothing burger argument. There's no meat on the bone here. She needs to cool her jets. I don't think it's odd at all. I would have done it discreetly so they wouldn't have even known. No, your wife is being ridiculous. My girlfriend, 31F, is struggling with quitting nicotine and I, 30M, don't know what to do. Too long did not read. I wanted to leave the relationship after I realized I don't want to be with someone who is severely addicted to nicotine. I didn't make any ultimatums. She offered to quit and now she seems unsure about quitting. Question. How can I proceed with this situation? I'm clearly not a professional when it comes to this, and I just need advice when it comes to addictions like this and how much of what she's saying is the nicotine speaking or her. My girlfriend used to vape and consume 1 tin of 20 milligrams snus pouches with tobacco daily. Initially, I overlooked her vaping habit due to my rose-colored glasses and believed there wouldn't be any problems. However, as time passed, I witnessed her becoming anxious when she ran out of snus, as it's more challenging to obtain in my country. This reminded me of my father, a cigarette addict. I noticed the fluctuations in her moods when she was deprived of nicotine or when she missed her usual nicotine fix. Recognizing that I couldn't and shouldn't try to force her to quit since it was her choice, I wanted to end our relationship. She initially agreed to quit both vaping and snus. However, she then attempted to alter the narrative, saying that she wasn't quitting the pouches. While she did switch from the more potent Swedish tobacco to 7 milligrams Velo, she continued to use 2 pouches each time, eliminating the tobacco component and leaving only nicotine. She attempted to convince herself and me that I was only concerned about the vaping, not the pouches, despite her initial statement. I was unhappy because she had lied to me. She knew what she had said but somehow altered her thoughts. I had already been prepared to leave before all this transpired, and she made an ultimatum for herself. There are numerous traumas associated with cigarettes and nicotine in my past that I don't wish to delve into in detail here, but I have to express that I dislike nicotine and have formed a preference for a partner who doesn't abuse the substance. She then said she would quit the pouches as well, but on her own terms, or she would hate me, which gradually evolved into her blaming me instead of hating me. But now she's blaming me anyway. She has been slowly weaning off, and now we're back on vacation. She's only using 3 milligrams Zins per day on a timed schedule. But before we left for the vacation home, I had a feeling that snus would somehow be involved. Unfortunately, I was right. She found 4 cans of snus in the vacation home and didn't tell me for a week, even though she knew it would upset me. She only told me after we got into a fight, which she started for other reasons. She kept saying she was done with the relationship, but we kept fighting. I told her, if you're done, then I'll just get on the next plane home. We were being dramatic, I guess. But she stormed off, turned her location off on iCloud, and came back after a while. We fought a bit more and worked through some issues, but then she explained to me that she had the 4 tins of snus and took them with her to the supercharger to charge the car. She threw away 3 tins but kept 1 pouch, stared at it, and threw it in the trash. She said she was keeping the last tin to control her addiction. I wasn't happy about the dishonesty, but she said she was doing all of this for herself and that if I knew, I would have made her throw them away, which isn't true. I've never made her throw anything away. I was ready to leave a month ago over all of this. She said it was something she wanted to control. I want to believe her, but it makes me feel like she's just trying to keep it close. Especially since she almost slipped up. Anyway, I was upset that she had kept it from me and more upset that I was right about snus being involved during our vacation. A few days later, we were in the shower, and we had a discussion about nicotine. She said she was blaming me for her wanting to quit. And she told me she wanted other reasons to quit because she didn't really want to quit. I told her, don't do something you don't want to do then, and she said she didn't want to lose me, so she would. I tried to explain my past trauma with my dad and why I think nicotine is bad. I'm sure some people here will disagree, but everyone has different preferences. She asked me to help her villainize it, but she won't see my perspective. I don't know how. She also tried to convince me to make some sort of compromise where she can use it sometimes for a year, which caught me off guard. I asked her why she liked it, and she said it calms her down. She feels like something in her throat, anxiety, goes away when she uses it. I asked her why she's self-prescribing nicotine for anxiety. She said, well, it's either SSRIs or nicotine, and I think nicotine is better. I tried to explain that she grew up with poor influences. Her whole family, brothers, mom, dad, etc., all abused nicotine in one form or another. I asked her why she thought she couldn't survive without it. She responded that she couldn't. Raw dog life, and it was like I was talking to the nicotine itself. She said, if it's not nicotine, what would you prefer I use instead? She told me the last 5 years have been hell because she quit smoking cigarettes in a past relationship. She relapsed earlier this year but quit after a week. Cigarettes. She said nothing felt better than nicotine in smoking cigarettes and how she feels a void without it. She feels like nicotine checks a box. As someone who has no experience helping people quit, I don't know what to do or say to this. I tried to explain the brain's reward system and how nicotine is controlling her, but she kept saying, to me, it's just nicotine. She asked me to give her more reasons to quit, but nothing I said stuck. I told her about the potential negative health effects, and she just laughed because they haven't affected her yet, so she didn't care. I used to help her log her usage because she wouldn't stay honest with herself about it. She eventually started logging her own times. But during our conversation in the shower, she told me she thinks I'm a control freak for tracking her usage even though she asked me to in the first place. She seems to have a deluded view of life without nicotine. She says it's horrible, and she used to self-harm for years, blaming it on nicotine when really she admitted it was just her coping mechanism from a past unhealthy relationship. She's convinced herself that life without nicotine is hell. I did the same thing with Vyvanse, an alternative. Before I quit, I convinced myself that life without it would be unbearable. Eventually, I quit and realized how delusional I had been, and that everything is fine. Now, I just don't know what to do. I feel lost. She wants to quit but doesn't see why she should, other than for me. She says she's doing it for me and blames me every time she takes a Zyn. After our conversation in the shower, I just don't know how to help her. She says she gets angry every time she uses the 3 mg ZYNS because she thinks of me. Additional info. Today she told me she didn't think it was a drug. Even though she's mentioned that she's going through withdrawal, I think she's just being ignorant on purpose, including everything that happened in the shower. She's acknowledged the problems she has with her mood when she doesn't use nicotine for even an hour off of her routine. But she seems to have forgotten all of that. She has continuously said she's picked me over the nicotine, but it feels like she doesn't want to continue quitting. She also admitted to being in denial about it being a drug or subconsciously ignoring it. I also suggested to her to maybe take a second to think before she uses a ZYN if she's anxious and see if she can survive without it, and it worked for a while. She wouldn't take them during situations where she's more anxious, but recently she has been doing it. She says she doesn't have any plan to increase her usage, even though she told me out of desperation that she wanted to figure out some sort of compromise with me where she can use it in a certain amount for a prolonged period of time. She also argued with me again, saying that we should work on my problems rather than always talking about hers, implying my problems with nicotine after I had to ask her what problem she was talking specifically about. All of this is just concerning and precisely why I don't want to be with a substance abuser. I don't care if it's legal. Good things to note. She keeps saying she wants to empathize with me. She has been doing a great job weaning off, but she doesn't always have good follow-through with keeping it up unless someone motivates her or tells her what they think. She also doesn't have good follow-through with logging times and making sure she's taking more than she planned. In the past she would use far more than what she said she would some days. She's got it all the way down to 3 mg 3 times a day from 400 mg in a month, which is great progress, but the withdrawals lately have been difficult to deal with because she's questioning everything about why she's even quitting. Before she had some reasons, but she seemed to have dropped those too because I think she's so subconsciously fixated on wanting to continue. If the reason your girlfriend is attempting to quit is to stay in the relationship with you, her resolve won't last. Another commenter mentioned that there are medications to help her quit. Those can be effective, but again, your girlfriend actually has to want to quit. Otherwise she'll stop taking the meds. It doesn't sound like she's ready to quit. As you said that you don't want to be with someone who is addicted to nicotine or any other substance, you two have a deal-breaking incompatibility. I have never used nicotine in any form, but both of my parents used to smoke. My mother explained that when she was a smoker she would want a cigarette to reduce anxiety, but after she broke the addiction she realized the addiction itself caused the anxiety. Nicotine is highly addictive and it can take a long period of abstinence before the person feels okay without nicotine. A common side effect of quitting is weight gain, which really upsets some people. I am not sure you are compatible long-term. Ex-smoker here. You typed out so much irrelevant detail. To you it is relevant, but in truth it isn't. Your girlfriend is addicted to nicotine. She will only quit when she wants to, and if losing you isn't stronger than the addiction she won't quit. No matter what you say, what she says, that's the reality. She will make every excuse, try to redefine agreements, say she didn't agree to X, claim she never said something, and say you guys had a miscommunication, but those are all lies. She doesn't want to quit. When I look back, I don't understand why it was so hard to quit, but it was. Your option is to decide to stay or go. Quitting is super hard. I was a smoker and relapsed many times. The only thing that really helped me is picking up running and getting obsessed with it. Obviously if you smoke a pack a day you can't be good, so I completely stopped. Lol. Be nice with her because nicotine is one of the hardest drugs to quit, and I'm not even exaggerating. Withdrawal symptoms are not dangerous for the body, so that's the only reason why people don't think it's that hard to quit, but it is. Good news is that it only takes 2 weeks for your body to get rid of the nicotine and its addiction for it. Mental addiction stays longer, forever, but is way easier to control. Get her the book, The Easy Way to Quit Smoking. I read it, did exactly what it said to do, and smoked my last cigarette as I read the last page. I smoked for over 20 years and haven't even considered one for the last 14. It really was that easy. We know for a fact that quitting nicotine ain't easy. Have you checked out National Quitline? Advice on my 39M wife's 38F affair and the aftermath. I 39M found out my wife 38F of 13 years was having an affair the week before Thanksgiving. She had said she was going to work but would be at another location most of the day, but then through Teams I could tell she was never at her computer at all that day, coupled with the fact that she came home and said she had scheduled our vehicle to be repaired at the family shop of the guy she was cheating on me with, made me question what she was actually doing that day, so I asked to see her phone, which she had been secretive about for a long time. She refused and I eventually said either show me or we are done. She eventually confessed she was having an affair and that it had been going on for 4 years with a guy that she had gone to high school with. She said that she had had a date day with him that day, playing golf and walking around a local mall together. She then eventually let me see her phone and the text message string with him that included 16K messages. Of course I didn't read them all, but the ones I did said that they loved each other and called each other husband and wife. Instead of getting angry and throwing her out like she thought I would, I said I wanted to work it out because I love her and our 6M son, but that she had to cut all contact with him. She agreed and said she needed to let him know it was over, so I agreed to let her call him with me in the room. So she did and told him I knew everything and that it was over, and he didn't say much but to ask if I was there, and she said yes, and that was about it. We continued to talk that night and she said that she had never intended the relationship with him to go that far, but it had, and that he told her he was going to leave his wife in the spring and she was planning on doing the same with me. But because I was willing to work on us, that she wanted to work on us and make us work, and that she was choosing us. We both agreed we would need to do couples counseling, which we have currently started. We blocked his number on her phone and she said he didn't really do social media, so there was nothing there to do. She agreed to share her location with me at all times as well. The next day I asked her to work from home and she agreed. My home office is in the basement and hers is upstairs, so I spend a lot of the day sitting in her office talking and whatnot. But at the end of the day I asked to see her phone and she was hesitant, so I knew something was wrong. I insisted and she did, but then she got a Facebook Messenger message from him when I had the phone, so I looked and they had been messaging all that day. Of course my heart sank yet again and I asked her what she needed to stop contacting him. She said closure. He had said in the messages that he wanted to see her, but I couldn't allow that, so I said how about you call him and take as much time as you need to say goodbye and I will look after our kid. So she agreed and went upstairs for a 45-minute phone call, and showed me that she blocked his number again and blocked his profile on Facebook and Messenger. We continued to talk and work on us the next couple weeks and had found and scheduled counseling the week before Christmas. I told her that if I found she was still talking to him that it would be over and I would tell everyone she knows what she had been doing. I periodically checked her phone and asked her every day if she was holding her promise to me to not contact him, and she said she was. The Monday before we stated counseling she worked from home again and I asked to see her phone and she was hesitant again, so I scoured the phone when she finally gave it up and found she had been emailing him the whole time, although she must have deleted most of them except a select few she had saved in a separate folder. This time I got angry and walked out. I drove straight to her parents' house and told her mom what has been going on. She was the logical person to tell, as her love is unconditional for her daughter and she had been cheated on by my wife's father when my wife was a child. It was good to get it all off my chest and tell someone else, and I felt oddly better right after. My wife was angry with me as she knew where I went. Location was on for me too. And so she left as soon as I got home and drove around for a while and sat in a park where I know she called her mom for part of the time. The next day we screamed at each other and had a big fight about everything which we had not done since I found out, and we both said stuff we should not have, but eventually agreed to make this work, and she said she wanted me and to make this work. We yet again blocked his emails from her phone, but I have come to the conclusion that I cannot control her. There are just too many forms of communication that I can't police them all. Of course I am going to check her phone randomly still to see if I can catch her, and if I do catch her, I have told myself I am truly done, but in actuality IDK if that is true. I will tell everyone she knows, not just her family including her affair partner's wife, and I think that will cause us to be over, but IDK if I can just walk away. I think I scared her when I said she couldn't stay in our house anymore and laid out how we would handle other son till at least after the holidays, her coming home for dinner and bedtime but then leaving after. It has now been 3.5 weeks since she has supposedly stopped talking to him, but I am still just waiting for the other shoe to drop. I feel like I am weak in not leaving her after all this, but I do truly love her, and that is what makes this so hard. I guess I am looking for what others would do in my situation. Of course the info above is not exhaustive of all details of what happened, just the major ones. I would leave. 4 years and repeated broken promises. She's not going to be faithful. Is this a relationship that you would want your son to end up in? Of course not. If you want more for him, why don't you want more for yourself? Dude, just end it. She clearly isn't going to stop and it's only going to get worse over time. Dude. Paragraphs help. How's this even a question? An ongoing, years-long affair? There's a reason she hasn't left you yet. I suspect her other husband is also married and or he's a scrub. Trust me, she'd be out of there otherwise. Meet with a lawyer and protect your finances. Get into therapy to process all of this. Don't let the fact that you love her allow you to make bad financial and family decisions. Find the kid a good stepmom. Brother, I wish I could say something to help. What an awful situation you're in. I don't think there's any saving this though. She's lost, man. She's gone. And I'm almost 100% sure she's going to regret it after you let her go, but I think that's what you're going to have to do. I'm so sorry.